You're listening to The Ride to Work with Pastor Fred. Fuel for your faith before you clock in. Enjoy the ride.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back to The Ride to Work, where we just take everyday experiences of driving and use them to steer us into destiny. I am Pastor Fred, the man behind the wheel and the words, and we're talking about something this morning, right smack dab in the middle. It's a Wednesday, that your car does all the time, whether you think about it or not. We're talking about this morning shifting gears, because the truth of the matter is you cannot stay in the same gear and expect to go to a new place. I'll just start it out right there with that. We'll use Romans. I think, it's in Romans. It said, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I love that scripture. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I think that's like Romans 12, 1 and 2, something along those lines. But transformed means shifted. Translated, that means move from one level to the next. Transform. You see, your car has gears, but watch this, the journey requires multiple speeds, multiple moments, multiple methods to get you to where you're going. And you know what else does that or requires that? Life. I'll just say it like that. Life requires multiple speeds, multiple moments, and multiple methods to get us where we're going. And the first point I need you to get clear in your head while we're riding this morning is, listen, this is very important. The gear you start in isn't the gear you stay in. We're talking about shifting gears. You can't stay in the same gear you started in. See, when you first leave, when you first take off, let's suppose you're at a light and you take off from the light, and you don't necessarily start in fifth gear. No, you don't start in that high of a gear, because what'll happen is your car, it'll stall out. That's what happens. Your car basically will tell you, look, let me begin where I am. I'm in first gear right now. Let me begin in this gear. Don't try to rush me. Don't push me past the point to where now I can't even get you to where you want to go, because you've put too much pressure on me in the beginning. Let me start where I am. And I need you to understand that some of you are frustrated because what you're doing, you're comparing your starting place to somebody else's cruising speed. I like how I said that. Thank you. Oh, that's what you're doing. You're looking at where they are and how they're getting along and whatever, and you trying to start at that point, when really you don't even know that they've gone through all the other gears to get to that point. There's some situations that they've gone through to get to that type of point in their life or whatever, and you want that already, and you ain't even started yet. You ain't been through nothing. Nothing. I just gonna say it like that. You ain't been through enough to even be at that speed, but you want to be where they are. Listen, God ain't judging your beginning. That's what hear me well. What he does is he celebrates the fact that you're moving, that you're going somewhere. As long as you don't stay stuck in part, he can guide you. But you need to understand that, because some of us, I'll say it like this, and I used to say this all the time or whatever. Sometimes you ought to just thank God for progress. We hear it all the time. Even when I was a kid in church, we heard this all the time. I may not be what I want to be or where I want to be, but thank God I'm not what I used to be. We say that all the time. But you know what? It's true, because what that does is that shows that you've made some progress, and that's something to celebrate. Because progress is enough when you're powered by God. That's enough for right now. Stop wanting, what somebody else or where somebody else is when you don't really know what it took for them to get there. You don't know the different seasons they had to shift through to get there. Start where you are. That's important. Second thing I need you to realize, look, every gear, and this is very important, and I know some of you have manual transmission that what I call stick. We call sticks. You got to shift gears and all of that. Every gear comes with a new sound. You know that? You ever notice, like, when your car is about to shift, the engine makes some noise? It does. Because what you got to understand is movement creates pressure. It creates pressure. And when God shifts you, or before God even attempts to shift you, he stretches you. He puts pressure on you. You'll feel it too. You'll feel it. Something's too tight. Something feels uncomfortable. Something is telling you, this can't be it. But that's really what the Holy Spirit is just, he's just pretty much preparing your engine for your purpose. He's revving you up for your purpose. He's getting you energized. He's getting you up to a certain level, for you to go to the next level, getting you up to a certain speed. He's preparing you for the next level. Don't mistake pressure for problems. God, hear me when I say that. Sometimes it's just God just gearing you up. That's really all it is. Sometimes he's just gearing you up. And if you're uncomfortable, because see, I like this. I used to say this all the time when we were in church, and I don't like people who are just so comfortable in church. I know we have pews, and some of us have padded pews and cushion pews, and some of us don't. We got chairs, all these different things. But we get comfortable. We get so comfortable to where we begin to just doze off, or we fall asleep. And I'm not talking about as far as in the physical sense. I'm talking about as far as in our spiritual sense. We fall asleep to the things that we ought to be growing in and learning in, and that we should be listening to change us, to transform us. And we sleeping on those things. And when we're sleeping on those things, we're staying in the same conditions that we are. We'll never move past first gear. Never. But for those of you who are uncomfortable, I celebrate you. Those of you who are uneasy, I celebrate you, because that might be God just getting ready to shift you. Yeah, it's a new sound. It's something you ain't heard before. It's something you haven't experienced before. Oh, this is different. This is new. That means God must be getting ready to do something new, getting ready to take me to another level. But he had to stretch me first. I had to go through some things. I had to deal with some things. I had to cry sometimes. I had to just have my heart broken. I had to deal with some pain in my life. I had to deal with some medical scares, some diagnoses that didn't look good. I had to deal with some doctor's appointments, some financial struggles, some stress, some strain, some relationship issues. I had to deal with all of those things. But you know what? I got to a point to where he stretched me so much so to where I realized I'm still here for a reason. It did not defeat me. It did not destroy me. What it did is push me to another level. My God. So I applaud you if you're uncomfortable. You're in a good place. God getting ready to shift you to another level. But he's got to get that level that you're in right now out of you. Because you can't take that with you. This third thing I need you to understand is, look, only the driver controls the shift. You know, when you're sitting in there and you're in first gear and you hit it and you got to hit that clutch and then you shift to the next gear, you're the driver. You're the one controlling the shift. Manual transmission cars, that's why it's called manual transmission. They don't shift itself by accident. It don't happen like that. The driver has to know when to accelerate, when to slow down, when to upshift, when to downshift. He has to know all of that. Now, my question to you is, who's driving you? Who's driving you? Because I told you the other day, as far as everybody talking about Jesus is my co-pilot. No, he need to be driving. Because sometimes if Jesus is our co-pilot, sometimes we ain't the best drivers. So we let too many other things drive us. We let our trauma drive us. Come on, I know I'm talking to somebody. We let our past drive us. We let our fear, or we let haters drive us. That's what we do. Jesus needs to be the driver. You see, what happens is when God says shift friendships, shift habits, shift environments, shift mindsets. God says that it's because the place where you're going requires a different version of you than the place you've been. Hear me when I say it. You can't take the same you into a new place. So it's some situations, it's some friendships, some habits, some mindsets that has to change, that has to go. I'm sorry. I understand, you like to be loyal, but sometimes you got to understand everybody can't go where you're going. Everybody don't have that shift mentality. Some folk like to stay in parks. Some folk like to stay in low gears. But you can't fight the shift. Stop fighting the shift God is trying to initiate in your life. Because you want to stay surrounded by folk who you think, love you and who you love. And I get it. But if they love you enough and you love them enough, you have to know that they won't be able to handle the level where you're going to. So which would you rather have? Let them know and let them go now. That's what you have to do. Rather than try to go with you and then end up failing. I know I'm talking to somebody. God is trying to initiate a new thing in your life, shifting you to a new level. And I'm sorry, I get it, but everybody can't go. Everybody can't go. And you've got to make up in your mind, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go anyway. Yeah, they may call me this. They may say I'm that. They may say I think I'm all this. They may say I left. They may say I ain't loyal. All of that. Kick rocks with all of that. And I just got to say it like that. I got to go where God is taking me. I got to go where he's taking me. I'll be better for it and you'll be better for it. The last thing I need you to understand, and this is the most important thing, shifting requires trust. It requires trust. You've got to trust. See, when the gear changes, at that point, when you're changing gears, what I need you to understand about manual transmission is momentarily it disconnects, the engine disconnects from the wheels. There's nothing there. There's just a pause there. There's a gap there. There's a moment where it feels like nothing's happening. And I don't know. I know people that some people out there may not have driven a manual transmission car. I'm not sure, but I know a lot of them have. And you know where I'm coming from. When you're shifting from one to the next, you got that little play area there. It's just a gap. There's a pause. You can hit the gas and everything else, but you're not going to go anywhere until you go to that next gear. And what's happening is, what I need you to understand, some of you are in that in-between moment, even as we speak. Some of you you're in that in-between moment. You're not where you used to be. Thank God for that. But you're not where you're going. But I want you to understand. I want you to get this in your spirit. Say to yourself, I'm not stuck. I'm just shifting. You're not stuck. Don't look at it like that. I know it seems like, and it feels like nothing's going on right now in your life. It seems like you're just in a standstill moment, but that's all it is a moment. You're not stuck. You're just shifting. You're in between shifts. God is taking you somewhere, but you got to understand the pause is just preparation, because at that point, after the pause is acceleration. When you put it in that next gear, you're able to go faster. You're able to go further without the strain, without the struggle. God pauses you to propel you, to push you. That's why he pauses you. You got to understand that the pause is necessary. It's necessary. Just that little moment, that in-between moment. You know how we always talk about that mean time, that in-between time is the mean time. Sometimes it can feel real mean. Yeah, it can. But you just got to understand it. It's your perspective, how you look at it. I'm just in between shifts. But the next shift is coming. The next gear is coming. And then once I get to the point of maxing that gear out, then another one is coming. And we ride now. God bless all of you, and thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and end the ride this morning, but thank you so much for joining us. And as you drive today, I just want you to declare this to yourself. Talk to yourself. Like the prodigal son did in the hog pen. Talk to yourself. Come to yourself and say, this is my shifting season. Man, I'm saying that to myself as well. I'm repeating it with, this is my shifting season. I need this. I'm moving from what was into what will be. I trust the driver, and every shift is taking me higher. This is my shifting season. Say that before you clock in. Just throughout the day, just say, this is my shifting season. I'm not stuck. I'm not stagnant. I'm just in between shifts. But that next gear is coming, because if God keeps the engine running, that means he's not finished shifting me yet. Wow. Again, thank you so much for riding with me this morning on the ride to work. If today blessed you, as I always say, share it with somebody who's ready to shift into their next level. Until next time, look, keep your hands on the wheel, keep your faith in drive, and remember, you're not just surviving the journey, you're shifting into destiny. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.